Hello, everyone. Um, Hope you all are staying lifted and positive as you can right now. As we know, there's a lot going on in the world, and I just want to say that. Hey guys, hey Karen, welcome. This is Legendary Talks here. What's up, guys? Legendary Talks here. It's my 60th night in a row. Very excited to celebrate my very good friend Claudine Joseph. Hey Sydney, we talked about it today and we decided to proceed, with doing it. Obviously being sensitive to what's going on in the world. And, I just want to say that, I sending y'all love and support and, just love y'all. So I'm very excited to celebrate my really good friend Claudine Joseph. I've been trying to get her to do this. Hey, Chandra. I've been trying to get her to do this for quite a while, so I'm excited she's agreed to do it finally. She's a great, interesting lady, and I can't wait to talk to her. So how's everyone kind of feeling today? What's your mood? One of the reasons we did this too is to kind of maybe brighten the heaviness of the last couple days. So hopefully that can work as well. When I set out to do Legendary Talks, on March 31st was my first one, kind of the heat of the quarantine and, COVID kind of bursting. It was kind of like to take people's minds off what's going on in the world, so maybe this can do the same thing tonight. So, but how's everyone's mood? Is anybody not feeling heavy or, confused? Yes, I'm sure. Hey, Natasha. How are you, Lamar? Good to see you, your name at least. Yes, so Claudine will be here soon. Erica, how are you? We're talking to Claudine Joseph tonight. I don't know if you guys know each other. Hope you're doing well, Erica, and staying lifted. My collar's acting funny. I definitely cut my own hair today. I don't know how I did, but, just trying to keep it light right now. Sydney's in disbelief, yes. Understandable, obviously. I had a heavy morning, but Nelly Mudime, amazing woman that she is. We had a great conversation. You're great from Beirut. Oh, wow, hey. Looking good as always. Thank you, Karen. What are you wearing right now? Judge Karen, a very interesting lady. I should have you on here, Karen. Judge Karen, if you want to do it. That'd be very interesting and fun. My collar is acting funny. Is that better? But yes, like I said, we decided to proceed to do it, so we're going to celebrate Claudine the way she deserves to be celebrated. I really am looking forward to celebrating her, so. Claudine is never late either. I wonder where she is right now, Claudine. Much love from Iceland. Hey, how are you? Well, I got some. Hope Iceland is doing well. A hoodie with perfect hair and makeup. I'm sure you are, Karen. Karen, yeah, you should come on here one night and talk about music and culture. That's what Legendary Talks is all about. So, what else? So, what are you guys doing tomorrow? Is anybody going to go protest? Did anybody protest today? And if so, how was it? Or is anybody planning on protesting tomorrow? And also, who's drinking? What are you guys drinking? Hey, Jean-Mi. I'm drinking Belvedere and soda. What are you guys drinking? You protested all day, Lamar? That's great. Is anybody planning on doing it? And how was it, Lamar? In New York or in Brooklyn, right? Is anybody planning on doing it tomorrow? No protests in Palm Springs. Okay, that makes sense. Should be, but um, anyway, like I said, so we're gonna celebrate Claudine Joseph the way she deserves to be celebrated. In lieu of what's going on in the world, we are going to have a great conversation right now. She just joined. Right on your block, okay. Karen spent the day visiting. Oh, probationers. Great, Karen. Yeah, I want to talk to you for sure, Karen. Claudine is joining us now. Hi, Claudine.
Hey.
Good, you made it. I was like, Claudine is never late.
I don't know how to, this is my first live.
Good, you look great.
Thank you. I figured I'd give you some sparkles.
Good, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll give you some sparkles back. So, I was just mentioning that, in lieu of what's going on in the world, we decided to still do this. I want to celebrate you the way you deserve to be celebrated. I think, this is my 60th night in a row, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, 60 minutes in a row. So, like I said, we're gonna talk to you about music, culture, and celebrate you. Don't obsess about the way it looks great. Stop obsessing.
No, I don't know where I'm looking.
You look fine. Don't worry.
Am I looking at you?
Yes, you're looking at me, Claudine.
Okay.
Okay, so Claudine, I wanna, obviously you've seen this before. We talk about music and culture and celebrate people that are very important to culture, which you are one of those people. So I'd asked you several times. I want to celebrate you for those reasons, as you know. So, well, I mean, we are very good friends, but I'm going to treat this like, a real interview. So just so you know.
All right.
So Claudine, you're from Queens, correct?
From Cambria Heights, Queens.
Yep. So, and then what do you think was your kind of major influence as a child from Queens? What did you kind of what's your takeaway from Queens culturally?
Well, I grew up with, in a Haitian household, right? So both of my parents are Haitian, and I think in Queens, just in general, is a big Haitian population, right? So I just think we didn't stay very long in Queens. So like, I wouldn't say like I took much of anything because we were little, me and my sister. And so from Queens, the one thing that I do remember was kind of like our family was really close on my dad's side too. So like my grandmother would always be cooking like Sunday dinners, and like we'd always be together. And even after we moved and we'd go back to Queens, it was very much like that. But after we left Queens, we went to Spring Valley, which was I guess like 45 minutes or so outside of the city. Got it.
Are you drinking, first of all?
I have a little something.
Okay, good. Cheers.
Cheers.
And then what should our drinking word be? It'd be a word that we would say a lot during the conversation.
Oh man.
Could be, you pick, could be anything. It's been Grace Jones because it's her birthday recently. It's been the color gold. It's been hotel when I interviewed Ben Pundle from Edition Hotels. So pick something that you think, fun that we would say often in this conversation.
Crazy.
Fine, perfect. Okay, so what was the first song as a child? I think that people, when they were young, kind of like under 10, I think the cultural influences really impact their whole adult creative life. I really think it's interesting to see what people were influenced by at a really young age, like musically and culturally. So what was the first song you remember connecting to?
I think for me, this is gonna be so crazy, but I mean, I definitely think Haitian music because it was played in the house a lot.
Yeah.
And this is probably jumping to an older, like getting older, but what I remember the most is definitely Michael Jackson. And I know you always hate people talking about Michael Jackson because it's affected like everyone, right?
It's not that I hate people talking about Michael Jackson. I love him as much as every other person. It's just that everybody says Michael Jackson. So I say, what song besides Michael Jackson is the one that influenced you? So
I have to say him only because like me and my sister made my dad like literally scour the city to get us Thriller jackets. Like we were obsessed about it. And so I would say like Michael Jackson definitely. I love Diana Ross. And
okay. As a child?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like the Supremes, like just like all of that. Like my mom would listen to like classic, whatever, Light FM, 106.7 Light FM. And as a kid, like there were just so many great, like amazing records that would be playing. And so we've listened to some of everything. So like we'd have Haitian compa, and then we'd listen to like Michael Jackson. And then like my sister was a dancer, so she was always performing at our family functions. And like my cousins, like it was like always like we were the entertainment. So that was like always like a good time.
Claudine, that's crazy.
Everybody,
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so what was the first album you bought with your own money? Your money that you bought?
The first album. You know, I don't even really remember. Like, I don't really remember the first album that I bought with my own money.
All right. Next question then.
Sorry.
It's okay. What and what's the first concert you went to?
Public Enemy.
Good. That's a great one.
It was Public Enemy, Ice-T.
Ooh.
And I can't remember. It was at Madison Square Garden. It was me and
Amazing.
Farika, my best friend till this day. But we went together, and I just remember like it being like such a like a movement.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I was like, I love Janet back in the day too. Like we were big like Rhythm Nation, and like we had all the pins and like, you know, 19 whatever. Like we had a lot of that too.
Yes, someone's saying that Public Enemy is so timely. Correct, they are. Public Enemy.
They are timely for right now.
And what is the first movie that kind of impacted you or that kind of described you during that time? Like your, you know, teenage years or, you know, under 18?
I definitely think Purple Rain, like for me, only because like
Me too.
My cousin actually exposed us to it. They were older and like shared it, the music, me and my sister. And I just remember one day like my cousin sneaking out to go to the concert and was like telling us all about it. And he snuck out. And when he got home, like his dad like took his guitar and literally beat him with the guitar. So like that is like something that always stuck with us because we really, you know, it was very strict. Like, you know, a lot of people were like going to the clubs and doing like whatever. Like we were not like really allowed to do that. So like when you think about even how I got in the business, it's kind of crazy because like I didn't follow anybody. Nobody in my family was in the music business, you know? So well, my aunt was in the movie Fame.
What?
Yeah.
That's amazing. What'd she do?
She sings.
What?
Yep. And her and like Dawn Lewis. She might be on here too. My Aunt Mimi. Yep. She like went to that music and arts performing school, whatever. Like, yeah.
That's amazing.
And I think I mean, she still does a lot of stuff off Broadway now, and I think she probably would be, I think, out there had she not like got pregnant or like I think either she got married or got pregnant. She's like the baby of my mom's sisters.
So who in your family, is it her or who in your family do you think you are the most like now as an adult? Like who you know, her or is it somebody else?
I'm probably more like my mom than anybody else. Like my mom is like really like tough on the outside, but like super soft on the inside.
First of all, you're soft on the outside, soft on the inside.
Okay, I'll take it.
And then what's the first club you went to?
The first club I went to was the Tunnel. I vaguely remember. I think back in the day wanted to go to like the Palladium and stuff like that. It just never really happened. But the Tunnel was kind of like when I first got into like loving hip hop and was like in the mix.
That's a great first club.
And it was crazy. Like it. Ooh, cheers.
Oh,
like crazy.
Cheers.
That place was just like insane.
Yeah. We saw when we had Jessica Rosenblum on here. Did you watch that one? Yeah, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then so you went to FIT. right?
So first I went to University of Maryland. I like was always an athlete
Yeah.
and ran track, and I thought that's where I wanted to go. University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. And then I think it was either 1 or 2 years in, I kept saying to my mom, like, I really miss being home. But at 16, I got a job at the Kids Gap. And like I stayed working at the Gap like the whole time.
Yeah.
And then like left the Kids Gap and went to the regular Gap. And so when I went to college, I was working, and I missed being in like retail, fashion, just like all of that. So I said to my mom, "Oh, I want to go to FIT," and she was like, "What?" She was just like, that school's really hard to get into. Like, are you sure? And I was like, I'm positive. Like, I want to be there. And so I applied. I got in. And so while I went to FIT, I worked 2 jobs. I interned and I worked my regular job, but while I was going to school.
Well, listen, I've said this a million times on this show, but at that age, when I first went to New York, I was 18, and if you, like at 20 years old, if you had only one job to me, you were a loser. You only have one job, you have to have 2 jobs minimum. I'm like, give me a break,
Yeah.
But, you have an amazing work ethic, but my thing is like at that age, everybody better have 2 or 3 jobs at 21 years old in New York, so.
Mm-hmm.
And then how was the FIT experience for you?
You know what? The FIT experience for me was amazing, and I'm still really, really close to Dr. Brown now, who's the president of FIT. She actually was there when I was there too. I graduated there in 1998.
Okay.
But I thought it was amazing. I feel like they really set you up for success in the sense that like you're so prepared, so many connections. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is that they really teach you like real world like experience, like what to expect once you get out there. And their percentage of people that get jobs after they graduate is really high.
And do you think they kind of give you a more realistic it's more realistic because it's in New York, or just because that's the school? Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's in New York, it may have a more real quality about it. About real life.
I think, what makes it like so real is the fact that like the teachers have been in the fashion field and like they are there and then come to teach. So it's like people who are in it on a day-to-day and doing it. And like what was so interesting is like when I was really young, I was like super picky about clothing. Like,
unlike now, I'm like
it's probably why I am the way that I am. But I just remember like not always wanting to just like get junk. Like I would I'd want like one great piece and I would have it for a really long time. And that was something that like as a kid, like I was very much like that,
Well, as an adult, you're still like that, but
I am like that.
And then when did you realize that you had style?
I don't know if I ever realized that. I always thought I was cute, but I don't know if I ever put it together that like I'm so stylish. But I definitely, I loved to draw when I was younger, and I had like a lot of love to draw.
First, what draw? Drawer.
Drawer.
I know. Draw.
I like to draw. I made like sculptures. I had like real exhibits in high school. And so I think I was like always creative, but never like, I don't know that I necessarily thought I had style. I just thought I was just cool.
And then out of FIT, you got, what was your first job?
So my sister put me on. She was working, she's on here by the way, Marjorie.
Yeah. Marjorie, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Marjorie.
She was working at an entertainment law firm. Oh, there's my mom, Grandma CBJ.
What's up, Mama?
Hi, Kim. Okay, I'm not gonna look at everybody. I'm gonna get like all distracted. But my sister was working at an entertainment law firm, Selver, Mandelbaum and Menz, and my sister had went to Penn State political science, like whatever. So she was working on the legal side, and she was like, yo, Wu-Tang is looking for like somebody to like run all their production. And I'm like, get me an interview, like get me in the door. And she was just like, all right, let me try, blah, blah, blah. And then next thing I know, she's like, here's your interview. This is what's happening, and blah, blah, blah. And I went in there and they were like, they had no idea what was necessarily all like coming together or whatever, but they were like, yeah, we want her, she's hired. And so that was like the beginning. I was a production manager, and so I managed all the tech packs and samples as they were made outside of the US, and then had to come back and get like fit models here in the US and like make sure everything looked good, and then kind of like grew with them. And like at that time, Wu Wear was like super hot. Wu-Tang was on fire.
Wu-Tang forever. Wu-Tang forever.
Exactly. We had like opened up all these stores everywhere that were like establishment, their own stores. And that just like took off. It was like, it was crazy. Cheers.
Cheers. The drinking word is crazy, guys, by the way, just in case you didn't notice. Okay, so sounds like you kind of hit the ground running, and it was a really interesting time, like to be working there with them. They were on fire. It was a great time to be working there, and it seems like you kind of just figured it out as you went along, right?
Yeah, it was interesting. There was like no real guide per se.
No structure, no structure, yeah.
No structure, and like all of the women that worked there were like it was very family. And I think the music business in general back in the day was very much like that. Like it was just, everybody rolled together. We ate together. Nobody was like, struggling. Like if you needed train money to get home or whatever it was, like they always had our backs, you know what I'm saying, in that respect. And then I started doing a lot of the music videos for Wu-Tang, and it was like ODB and like Raekwon and like all the guys, right? Like You God, Massacre, everybody. And I was like, wow, I really love doing these music videos. Like, I don't know if I'm like really into this clothing thing anymore. Like, as much as I love clothes, I don't think that'll ever go away. But I was like, I don't know if I really, really want to do that. Yeah. And I was starting to get really tired with just the no structure per se, it's really challenging when like, like everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, and like, you're looking for that leadership and it wasn't necessarily there. So my sister at the time was dating and then was married to Wyclef's brother, Sam. And then I kind of got all looped in with the Fugees and got to work on the Score album and was assisting Praz and sometimes styled him and Clef. And that was just kind of like random, only because they just knew I had flavor, but never, like it wasn't like a professional thing that I wanted to do. And then I just started helping a lot of the artists that were on their label, Wyclef and Praz's label. Like, so Free, who was on 106 and Park, she's somebody who I like worked with and styled her for a little bit.
What about, didn't you say that you but didn't like Praz or one of them wear on an album cover?
Not on album cover, but they wore it a lot. They always represented.
Thanks to you, obviously. So
while I was there, they always like first of all, they were like blowing up, and then it was like, hey, I'm gonna get you guys like leathers and clothes and whatever. And they always like they looked out.
Well, it's interesting because I always say too,
my whole family was in Wu Wear.
I bet, I believe it. It's interesting because I always say too, like people always think I'm so into fashion, but I like music way more than I like fashion. And I think you probably discovered the same thing around that time. It sounds like, clothes. I always say it's just clothing. Music to me is so much more exciting. Okay, so then your next job is what?
So then the Fugees have been recording at the Hit Factory, and Danielle Germano, the daughter of the owner of the Hit Factory, literally was like, you need to be working for Chris Lighty. Like, I don't know what you're doing with the Fugees. Like, you need to like get a real job and like be in the business and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So then, so she set it up for me to meet Chris Lighty. I knew nothing about music management, like zero. Okay. Like nothing. But I had been on the road already with the Fugees, and I had been like going to shows and traveling. And so, you know, it was like whatever had to get done, it was just kind of all hands on deck, right?
Yeah.
So I go in, I meet with Chris. It actually was funny because Mona was there too. And they started arguing in the room as to who was going to get me. And I was just like, Mona was like, she's Haitian, I'm Haitian. Like Mona was like putting in, and Chris was like, listen, I'd been waiting for a great person and I think she's it. And what was crazy is you're
good at this. You're right. You picked a good word.
And what was interesting was I had applied for a job at Interscope, and I wanted this product manager job so bad, and like it was under Steve Stout. And I remember Ashley Fox gave me my interview and was like, yo, you are so dope. And I'm like, you know, I was like so excited because I just wanted to like get in there. And like you don't realize like how hard it is to actually get in the door. And so when I went in for my second interview, and I can't remember who the second, it might have been with Steve, he felt like I didn't have enough experience to take on that job, right? And sometimes, you know, sometimes the experience is great. Sometimes you bet on somebody and you just try to work with them and nurture them. And like later he would like, damn, I definitely fucked that up. But like, you know, it's like
no. Your journey is meant to be the other way. Trust me. You know,
no,
but
he said that to me.
No, I get that, but you're meant to be a violator and then go on the path that you went on. So you mean yes, it's great to hear that, but the reality is you're meant to be exactly where you landed. You mean
yeah, for sure. So like when I got to Chris, that was like 99. Todd was doing some movies, Deliver Us. It was Kingdom Come, which was like a funnier movie. Jada was in it, and like Whoopi and like a few other people. Like he was filming a movie at the time. Our roster was crazy. I joined at 205 Lexington. They were at 160 Barrack prior. So then when I joined Violator, Chris's dad was like our general manager, and the roster was crazy there.
Wait, what was the first? Okay, so when you met with Chris first, and what was that meeting like?
It was great. I mean, he asked me everything that I did, and I told him, and I didn't have the managerial experience per se, and I didn't even know really what that was. And he was just like, no, this is perfect. But like, he knew I had graduated from college, and I don't know that there was necessarily that many people that had graduated from college. So, it was a little more like I was a little anal with it in terms of like keeping things like in order and great multitasker and that sort of thing. And so I took the job. I started as the assistant to him.
Prior to that, had there been anybody that kind of mentored you or that you had looked up to kind of in any of the industries you worked in so far? Like, was it a Sylvia Rowan, or was it, had there been someone that you had looked up to at least, or that kind of mentored you prior to that?
So once I, like later at Violator, Sylvia definitely is somebody who I admire, like love, even till this day. Like we have a great relationship, and just like somebody as a female and just like a woman doing her thing, but was also, I don't know how to, I thought I had like stopped it, but.
We're good.
Okay.
We got it. Wait, also, what's the first thing you remember learning from Chris immediately?
That I learned from him?
Yeah, one of the first lessons you learned from him kind of like in the first month or something, kind of, or your first moments there,
That he was all over the place. But like in terms of like, are you asking me in terms of like my education lesson? Well, I would probably have to say that it was just self-taught in the sense that once I was behind his desk, I took it upon myself to like read the contracts, have conversations with the attorneys. Like he never told me I needed to go to the studio and be in an artist's session, but I went on my own. I wanted to understand the process. I wanted to understand what the recording part was like when they're writing the beat, the whole thing. Like I never knew anything. So I would go there and sometimes come to work with the same clothes on the next day because I would leave the session and go straight to work. And then, or sometimes I get to go home, shower, and then come and go to work. But it was my prerogative to kind of, you know, figure it out, you know.
Well, you were really curious, which you still, you know, fortunately you still have a genuine curiosity about things and learning. You know, you have that part of your personality where you like to know and you like to learn. It's a really great quality to have. People get complacent. I don't think you're ever going to be that way. You always want to learn. You mean? Yeah,
because I mean, I just think like you never know everything. Like you may think you have a good handle on it, and then all of a sudden this shift happens, and like yet again, like you're learning it all over a different way now, you know. And so I think that that's part of growth too. Like in order to continue, you have to keep learning and reading and like pushing yourself because it's not just there, you know.
Well, that's how you grow. You can't grow otherwise. You mean so?
Exactly.
And then so you said the roster was crazy. Who was that? Who was there at the time?
Actually, it's very interesting because we had Maxwell, we had Groove Theory, we had Mobb Deep, Nas, Nori, Busta, LL, Missy.
That is crazy, literally. Like seriously.
It was like, and there were a few underground, like Chia Lee and like few other guys too that were there too. I mean, it was nuts.
And that was in there, like, you know, the prime Violator, you know. So what are some of the highlights, I guess, of that time for you?
Well, I wish the Mix Show Power Summit was still around because I love that. And I think Renee McLean did such a great job with that allowed us to really interact with DJs and, you know, figure out how to get our records spun and who was gonna like make it hot out the gate. And like we had just so many artists that to be able to be in that environment of like curating kind of like the next thing, that to me was like everything. And I wish it was still around because I think that that's something that I truly miss, like part of the craft of like getting records played and music and just understanding like how the DJ curates the room and what are they going to play and what's the vibe going to be like and, you know, how do you break a record, you know? So those were things that I really like loved. But like for me, each step that I took from the assistant to the junior manager to ultimately vice president of Violator, we're all self-taught.
Well, it's interesting because it sounds, you know, all your jobs up until this point, you just kind of are winging it in a great way, and you're really curious, you know, I guess, or hustling and ambitious, and you really are hard worker. So, like, you know, that's a really interesting thread so far in all of this. So, you know, and they all seem kind of like.
It's not just like necessarily winging, because I also had like this crazy passion. So it became like. It became like a crazy obsession of like music and just needing to be in the right place, the right time, the music, like it was like I had to be there. I needed to know what was going on when Nas was working on Stillmatic, or I was like, I needed to like be in the mix. And then also it's like, you know, when 50 came, you know, and I got an opportunity to work on Get Rich or Die Trying, it was like there were a lot of different things that I got to work on, even like Little Mo and like, you know, I talked about Missy, but we had Little Mo, we had Tweet, we had like so many artists that were just so different. That I think was like the coolest, because it was like we'd have R&B and Groove Theory, which was like popping in another place, but then we'd have like hardcore rap music, and we're running and gunning from bullets on video shoots. You know what I mean? Like it's like all of that. So it just was a very interesting time.
And what was kind of like, what do you take away from that experience?
Oh yeah, Mr. C. We had Diddy, we had Mariah, we had Busta, we.
What?
Yes, I got to work with Mariah.
Amazing.
But also because at that time, she was married to Nick, and we had worked with Nick on his acting side of stuff. So like Chris had, when the one thing about Chris when we were at Violator that people don't really ever acknowledge was the fact that he was running artist management group, which was it was at AMG with Michael Ovid. So he ran the music department for them in this white agency. And they allowed him to be himself and be creative and do his thing. And then simultaneously, he was also vice president of Loud Records. So he's working with Steve Rifkin. We've got like Joe and like other artists over there. And here I'm his assistant. I'm literally hands in everything. And it's a lot going on. There was never a dull moment. Yes, Tribe Called Quest. I mean, it's a lot. Q-Tip still to this day, it's like they're just so great.
Someone said passion, perseverance, and persistence. That's great. Good for you. Nelly said you're very inspiring. Okay, great so what's up, LL? So perfect timing, actually. So after Violator, then what was your next career?
Well, still within Violator. Okay. So got, working on a lot of Missy's records, and got to really be creative. Like she did a clothing line with Adidas, Respect Me, and got to work with her on that, and Mona, and like just the whole team. So that was like super exciting. And then for a second too, I got to work with Kelly Rowland on her music. And then that was kind of the time where, this might have been like 2005, I guess, 2006, we started working on Todd's fitness books. Just lifestyle, health, wellness, and just mind, body, and soul. And so that was like a very exciting project for me, as I was like really into it, still while working on his music too, but allowed us to be able to do multiple stuff. And I think that's what was great about Violator, is like they weren't just about the records. It was like, how do we build brands? And like Chris, I think, had great vision in that, with that respect, and kind of set the tone for the company.
Great. Mm-hmm. So then when you left Violator, where did you go?
So when I first came to LA, when LL got NCIS Los Angeles, that was in 2009. I was still working for Violator.
Got it. Okay.
So I didn't stop working for Violator until I think it was maybe 2011, because I think Chris passed 2012. So 2011, I think, is when I finally said, okay, this, and I talked to Chris for a long time. He didn't want to be like, you're not going to be a Violator anymore. And then like Todd spoke to him too. Well, LL spoke to him too, and it was just kind of like all love. And he really respected the fact that like I had worked so hard, that he was just like, listen, like you're gonna just be out of here, and like just stay focused and keep doing you. And we always maintained a great relationship. Yeah. Which is a blessing,
Yes. So you went to LA to work with LL.
On NCIS Los Angeles, which, by the way, I was like, I'm gonna go back and forth. Because we didn't, that was my first time working on a television show. I'd never worked on a television show. Well,
how many seasons is it now?
Though going to 12.
12 seasons. Isn't that crazy?
Or is that right? Or is it 13?
It's a lot. That's all I know.
I think it's 12, but...
okay, so you moved to LA, which is a major move, and then you start working with LL... like exclusively, not with Violator, kind of just with LL.
Yeah, just LL Cool J.
And you had been working with him in the past, though, at Violator, or? Got it. So you moved to LA. You're working on the TV show. You're working exclusively with LL. And what's kind of one of the first things you learned, I guess, from him in LA, like your new life in LA?
Well, I think the thing that I've always learned from him, I think there were artists that I worked with in the past that sometimes I like worked harder than the artist. And the one thing I realized in this is that he definitely works just as hard, if not harder.
It's true. He has a great work ethic like you. It's his work ethic, like yours, is very impressive. It's very inspiring, both of you. So You mean?
Thank you.
Yeah. And then so you start working on the TV show, and then I feel like all these other things start happening.
So
I
the
guess with
television show, like after the 7th episode went into syndication, which was the first time in television history that a show,
yeah.
you know, went so quickly. So like that was like just ended up, I don't know, just like who knew, right? So it was
Yeah.
like the show just started to blow up, like domestic, international, like everywhere. It was just like we got to do so much, and to be able to promote the show and really support it, and you know, it was like crazy. Cheers. Going to countries and like hearing somebody else and his voice and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so it was, you know, it was really very cool to kind of see that. But I would say that's kind of where it started to really start to take off. And then we kept wanting to do more, and like, what else can we do? You know, can we like produce some stuff, and like, let's get creative and let's start thinking. And then he had the opportunity to do a bunch of the Grammy nomination shows. And so him hosting and also producing those were like really a gift, because I got to see so many pieces of like a show that I would not never see.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you both, now I think you say, you both are really creative people. So you guys together are such a great team that way, because you both are, you know, have a great vision about many things. I mean, I'm kind of, as we're talking, I'm kind of seeing some parallels between the two of you. It's really interesting. You know, you both have basically an insane work ethic, and you both are really creative. So that really complements each other. You guys complement each other really well.
Yes, and I love being creative, because I think that that's like the side of me that like allows me to grow, you know, because it's like creativity is like something that you can't necessarily suppress, you know what I mean? And like very few people, I think, can operate in a space of like business and creative, because sometimes the business person will hire a creative.
Yep.
But I kind of operate in this very shared space, you know?
That's, you know, the reason you're successful. But also, he's, I think, so successful because I think he's really open to newness, and he's, you know, he's not one of those people that holds on to, you know, like the old ways. He's done a lot of different things in the past, even like 10 years, and I think he has a really open mind as well, and that's the reason you're both so successful, I think. You mean, so?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's like, you know, evolution, right? Like, because I mean, if you don't grow, then you get stuck. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Like, so at the end of the day, it's like, if you're not willing to like accept certain things that are happening and like embrace them, then I think sometimes you get left behind, you know?
And then, so you guys started doing the Grammys what year?
I think it was 2012, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, my Aunt Mimi's on. That's when I was talking to you about.
Oh, amazing. How you doing? And then what are kind of some of the highlights of that whole experience? Because, you know, to me, the Grammys is the biggest thing in the world to me. And the Grammys is like, it doesn't get any bigger in my head. So what are, I guess, some of the highlights or the takeaways from that whole experience?
I mean, that whole experience for me.
Because he hosted, was it 5 times?
Mm-hmm, 5 times in a row.
5 years in a row, so kudos to you.
He was the first time, he was the first host in like, I want to say it was like a really long time. So that was like really cool and fun, and I don't know, just allowed us to be able to tap into something else, you know, connect with music, which is his love and passion too, but then to be able to do such a big music show, like it was like everything. The Grammys, I just feel like just from like the scripts and like, you know, being in those war rooms and like just the idea of how these things, you know, happen and come to fruition, and like getting to work with Ken Ehrlich, who we still love and are close to today, is amazing. Because I mean, he did it for like 45 years. Like he produced the Grammys, and like, I mean, who wouldn't want to like learn from him?
Yeah, no, really, it's a great learning experience. If you think about it, you get to, like you said, sit in those rooms and see how these people really operate. And you just like, you know, you are, you know, one of your best qualities is you are a sponge in a great way. And you can, you know, learn from these things and then honestly take it into your future business, you know, so that's great.
Yeah.
Simone is on here, by the way. What's
Hey,
up, Simone? So didn't you say you got to meet Diana Ross one time at the Grammys, who you love?
That was a crazy moment because
Yeah.
I like literally froze. And you know what's interesting? I probably should have taken a lot more pictures back in the day, but like it was, I don't know if it was like more instilled in like the Violator times, like you don't, you know, you just don't ask for those photos. Like it's just such an awkward kind of thing. But I stood there and honestly, I'm a fan, right? Like, so I love Diana Ross. I'm Coming Out. That is my song. Like, I just like, it's just good energy. I can listen to all the versions too. Hers, Diddy, everybody. Like, I just love it, right? But when I got a chance to meet her and get my photo taken with her, the photographer that was working for the Grammys actually took the photo. I didn't even realize I still had my pass on. It was just kind of like all in the moment. And then she was like, what do you do again? And I was like, oh, I manage Ella Coach. She's like, what? She was like, you're doing an amazing job. She was like, yes. And I love that as a woman. And I literally was just like, okay, my night is made. I don't care whatever happens. Like,
Of course,
I just met Diana. The photo is framed. It's me and Diana, and like I just like love her. And like honestly, I think that was like also really special to be able to meet like so many like artists that I admire, respect, like old, new, all of it. Like that's the Grammys was like a melting pot of music. Like it was just like this is the biggest night of music.
No, they say it, but that's the what they call it. But it really is. It's such a special thing. It's such a it is literally like you're saying. It's kind of a melting pot. All these people coming together. It has a certain energy that I just love. It's to me, it's the number one. My number one favorite thing is the Grammys. So I love it.
And then you got to experience the pre-Grammy dinner that we would always do for 100 celebrity from all cross of walks, whether it was an actor or an artist, film, everything. It was just a mix of like so many different kinds of people.
Those were great. I did love those. I missed those actually. Hey Noah, Noah Tepperberg just got on.
Hey Noah.
And then what are some of the highlights, I guess, of your, working with LL in the past couple years? You mean, what are some off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, Lip Sync Battle was a big one for me.
That's amazing. That's the most, I've been to shows. It's by far the most fun show I've ever been to. It was, from the sets, they had a real bar. I love that show. That was so fun.
So like for me, I just felt like Casey Patterson, amazing executive producer of the show and just like all around girl boss. But like, that show was super fun because it really allowed artists to let their wall down, just have fun. Like just come on here and just have fun. Like, Natasha's on. Natasha did our set design, like Lip Sync Battle.
Remember when Beyonce came on?
Yep. That was a moment, There were a lot of things that I loved, but that show in particular, I felt like, sometimes you got to dig deep. And that was one of those shows where it was like all hands on deck. We worked 7 days a week, for like 3 months. And it was just like, make it happen. Let's do this. And like, so good energy and positive all the time. And just like, as much as like, there were so many changes in wardrobe and scripts and like everything, it was just like, let's just do this. You know what I mean?
It was amazing. It was really, really great, honestly. Congratulations to you guys. Okay, so who have you kind of gagged over that you've met? And like all, like besides Diana Ross, who have you gagged over?
So Prince.
Okay.
So Prince was, that was like a big moment for me at the I think it was the last Grammy that we were hosting. He had those big, what were those? Like, they were like a big shield, Sunny or whatever. And I was just like, I gotta meet him. And it didn't happen, but it's okay. Cause I mean, I got to like walk past him and everything, but like, he's definitely somebody who I love I love his music. So like, I adore him.
Do you remember when they said they were coming to the pre-Grammy dinner? They said they were coming, and do you remember that he wanted his own little couch?
Yes.
And April was like, "What should we do?" I'm like, "Get a freaking couch."
Him the couch. I'm like,
"You want the couch? Get a couch."
I was like, "We gotta get him the couch, please."
I know, right?
But yeah, I was hoping to meet him, but it's okay. I mean, I'm still a super fan of his.
Yeah.
Like, love his music.
Um,
As I say, the
so
other person too that like I do like love music is like Lionel Richie. So different from all the music that I like work on, but I do like love, you know, all his music.
me too. I love his music. Yeah. I met him once. You know him probably. You know him well. So I met him once. He had a pair of shoes on that I have. I said, I love those shoes. He said, I said, what size are you? He said, size 11. I said, me too. I said, can I get you a drink? He goes, I only drink white wine. I'm like, me too. We have so much in common. It was very funny.
I love that.
Okay, so Claudine, your Instagram has turned into kind of this style guide for people. And I don't think it was an intentional with you. I think you're a stylish person. And I think you recently started to embrace it. And I like that. And I think that you should, you know, develop that more. But like, you know, what are your thoughts on like you kind of being this style guide for people?
The funny thing is, like, people always will like, even Simone should be like, you should do a blog. I'm like, I don't need more work. I don't want more work.
That's true. You do not. Yeah.
So like for me, it's just an outlet that I can share and be creative.
A creative outlet.
It's a creative outlet. Yeah. That I can like play, you know, with my own clothes, but also at the same time, not necessarily take the executive role so serious and uptight, you know, because it's still music, it's still fun, and like I think that sometimes
it's creative.
Yeah, and it is creative, and I think sometimes people think, oh, I got to put a suit on and like do it this way, whereas like yes, I can do the suit too, but at the same time, I still want to be me, and I think I think like being at Violator was a place that really just allowed me to be who I was. Like Chris didn't care if your nails were long, if the nail polish was red, orange, whatever. Like, it did the job get done. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't judge us based on what we wore.
Yeah, you'll be wearing like, you know, the latest Balenciaga denim jacket, but still seal the deal. You know, that kind of thing. So yeah. How would you describe your style briefly, if you had to?
I think it's edgy and chic.
Good, great. I agree.
And at times, sometimes it can be very tomboy chic.
Okay.
But that's because I like sneakers, and I don't always like wear very fitted clothing. So like, I just, you know.
I always say you love denim.
I do love denim. You know, back in the day, this goes back to when I was at the Gap. I was the denim expert.
Oh, listen. See, I always say those beginning years define who you are as a creative. See that? There you go, right there. That explains it all.
I was the denim expert.
And then, what do you want for the future? What do you want for the future, basically?
For the future, I definitely want to be producing more amazing content.
Yeah.
That's a real passion of mine.
Yeah.
To be like part of the creative idea of what people get to see, you know. And I felt like Lip Sync Battle was just like the beginning of like what I think there's so much more to come. And I think there's also so much bad stuff that like I also want to like uplift and empower and inspire and just encourage people that, you know, we could do anything that we want, you know. And so that's something I definitely want to do more of.
That's a good one. We have like a couple minutes left, and Instagram hangs up after 1 hour. So, what's your go-to song that gets you on the dance floor every time?
Well, Diana Ross, definitely. I can put that on anytime. But my go-to, I mean, it can be a lot. I love Loungin'.
Okay.
The one with Toto, like I love that song. Yeah. But you know, you see me at your parties, like my hand goes in the air.
Oh, she goes like this. Oh yeah, that's Claudine ready to party.
And like, I love great music, you know, which is I love still connecting with just listening to the DJs and letting them kind of direct the way the party's gonna go. Like I love that. And I enjoy going to your events and your parties. Just it's always a great vibe. I love the 90s music. It just it's so nostalgic, brings you back. But then I can listen to new music today too. Like I like The Baby. I'm good. Yeah. You know.
Bearline was on here.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And then, okay, so if you could choose to go to dinner with 4, icons, dead or alive, who would it be? Any genre, any people.
Okay, we definitely got to take Diana.
I knew I could have said that for you.
Karl Lagerfeld.
The picture with him right there.
I know, I'm jelly. Diana, Karl Lagerfeld, Prince.
I want to go to that dinner. First of all.
And who else would I want to go with? Maybe Michael. I would probably want to hang out with Michael too.
Listen, I definitely want to go to your dinner, so you better invite me.
Come on down.
Okay, so Claudine, I want to thank you very much for doing this. I'd asked you several times. I wanted to celebrate you in the way, you really deserve to be celebrated. You are, we celebrate people of culture. You have been so instrumental in culture for the last 2 decades, as everyone just learned. I don't think people knew half that stuff about you. You're such a kind, fair, generous, passionate, person with this amazing work ethic, but you have this really creative, cultural aspect to your personality that I really want to celebrate that about you. You've been so important to, I think, so many people's lives and careers culturally, and been behind so many other things that, I just really want to celebrate you as this a really important figure in culture. So
thank
I love
you.
you. And I want to celebrate
I
you.
love you too, and thank you so much for having me. I don't do this often, so I just want to say that, I think you are also amazing, and the fact that you're doing this with so many, regardless that they're your friends, but so many people in the industry that may not necessarily be in front of the camera per se. And so it's really nice to, be acknowledged and be seen. And, I commend you for what you're doing, because I think that you're doing such a great job, and you're not asking the same old questions that people, can hear anywhere else. You kind of are digging a little deeper, and I appreciate that about you. I do want to say that during these times, it's super sad and crazy, and this is the time more than ever that we should be together. My sister works for the Coalition of Hate in Houston, and they're doing such amazing work, so kudos to them. And if anybody's on, check them out. But just in general, it's we need to continue to pray, uplift, and make sure that we don't forget that we, the people, together we can make a change.
Yes, I will say we're all in this together for sure. We're all in this together, and I keep saying that I'm here to love and support. That's what I can offer y'all. So. But yes, Claudine, this was about you tonight. So I do want to celebrate you. I think you earned it, deserve it. You're one of those people that I think don't get celebrated enough, and you've just been so important to culture, and I really appreciate that in you. So
thank you. This could have gone on way, way long.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I want to make it 1 hour. This is my 60th night in a row. I told you before, right?
Crazy.
It's crazy, and I'm not stopping until the quarantine's over. You know that, right?
You're on a roll.
So kudos to culture. Kudos to everybody watching. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you everybody who came out and
I know
supported me.
I know this is a really heavy time in our world, in our country, and we decided we want to do this. I think to maybe just inspire people. Everyone keeps saying how inspired they are by you, Claudine. So hopefully we did something good for the world tonight. So
well,
love you. All right, thank you guys for watching.